Hey guys, what's up? For this first video, I'm going to be reading from notes that I've written from several months back, and it's a lot of different stuff that I meant to publish a long time ago, but I haven't really been able to until now. So apologies in advance for the lengthiness. Anyway, the subject of this inaugural video is something that's been weighing on my mind since I first really started paying attention to the news and the state of politics and the myriad detrimental effects that it's had on our civilization, society, specifically the politically correct narratives that have been exponentially pushed since I entered adulthood back in the 90s, and eventually culminating in the social justice whiner fucking plague that infests our civilization today. I think of the SJW movement as a plague, pretty much a literal cancer upon the world. Every medium that this ideology is spread into and infested over the past 2 or 3 decades has substantially suffered and become virulent, just shilling toxic leftist dogma. There's been massive public backlash against the whole politically correct fucking ideology right from the start. It's been like caustically satirized on shows like early seasons of The Simpsons, South Park, Family Guy, commonly, even as it's gained like exponentially increasing representation and support in all of its fucking insidious forms by the media and the corporations which run our corrupt government that just run protection for this shit, basically enforcing it. And of course, those who deign to publicly speak out against the corrosive nonsense are often silenced, deplatformed, demonized, ostracized, ridiculed by this vocal minority, which is disproportionately represented and catered to on all social media, where opposing views are stifled and often penalized as being against community standards. Meanwhile, actually dangerous groups like Antifa, communists, Islamic jihadis, and the perverts and predators of the LGBTQ+, whatever we're on now, are given advocacy and protection as they grow increasingly radical and militant, and straight white men with right-wing conservative beliefs, or God forbid, nationalism. I don't think you can even say that these days. They're vilified and labeled neon Yazis. It's basically the modern equivalent of being dragged into the stocks and pelted and jeered at in the town square, ridiculed and unpersoned, blacklisted for daring to challenge the sacred pseudo-morality, the mighty doctrine of oppression that these NPC drones have hardwired into their mainframes. And all of this cultural Marxism has wormed its way into Western society. Various subcultures which previously had been mostly apolitical have been invaded, infiltrated by, rabid SJW politics all throughout the entertainment industry, including all corners of geek culture, traditionally straight white male-dominated fields like comic books and video games companies, under the push for feminist rights and gay trans acceptance and all that dog shit. There was the whole Gamergate fiasco with, slutty attention whores, like that piece of shit Anita Sarkeesian, fucking just clamoring for the spotlight and trying to cash in under the pretense of diversity, all these things that sound nice, pleasantries, but they're fucking politicized, She's just out there lying her fucking sleazy ass off and slandering people like that Sargon of Akkad dude. Actually just maligning the whole straight white male demographic, which is under attack on all fronts now. It's open season on us SWMs, man. To even go online and point that out gets you immediately shouted down and mercilessly ridiculed by outrage mobs of cry bullies. These fucking hypocrites. They stop at nothing to attack and invalidate anyone who speaks against their narratives of the evil white patriarchy that just constantly oppresses all the victim classes, all the women's, the POCs, the gays and transes, the LGBTQ, HIV, all the poor Muslims that just need to be welcomed in with open borders. And, don't you dare point out that, say anything about them being terrorists when all your churches get vandalized and destroyed and people start getting exploded and raped and stabbed to death by mysterious robed people shouting Allahu Akbar. You're just a goddamn racist bigot phobe if you notice these coincidences, right? Point that out, you're an asshole. The blatant hypocrisy and the phony outrage of this leftist agenda is just ridiculous. And now these previously apolitical people like myself, even many of the left-leaning, socially liberal types are being pushed into what's been labeled the alt-right now, the boogeyman. They're vocally resisting this dilution and contamination of their arena, the intellectual property that's being taken over, the fandom, and consequently, of course, they're being labeled racist, sexist, phobic, Nazi, bigot trolls by the SJW fucking PC shills, and the media steams that run protection for them and perpetuate this backwards false narrative like it's us. We're the villainous, pernicious fucking antagonists. We're little Nazis, Fuck us. But at the same time, all these franchises which have all gone woke and are constantly virtue signaling, they're all actually losing sales. They're hemorrhaging money, going out of business, closing shops, they're fucking dwindling. Shit like the Star Wars reboots, the Black Mexican Spider-Man, Captain Marvel, that new Batgirl show where she's just some lesbian piss turkey that fucking barges into fucking Bruce Wayne's mansion like, I'm not gonna let a man take credit for a woman's work. This suit will be perfect when it fits a woman. Fuck off, oh my god. Shut the fuck up, bitch. These franchises are deliberately driving SWM fans away, and they're gaining only a superficial poser following amongst the purple-haired SJW crowd. Like, for the most part, these rodents don't even actually buy the comic books. They don't watch the fucking shows or movies. They got shit ratings, shit attendance. They're just desperately, craving the lip service, though. They want the straight white males' intellectual property ruined and torn down and shit upon. They get off on it. They go out online and they gloat about it on Twitter. Oh, the male tears. Oh, I love it. And these handouts from Hollywood and what have you, they aren't enough. It's about identity politics and pushing this leftist commie propaganda. They don't care that when these franchises go woke, they go broke. It's all about propaganda and subversion. Crash and burn and move on to the next targets. The comic book industry has been going under incrementally since the mid to late 90s. I used to love fucking X-Men, Spider-Man, Venom, fucking all that shit. And as the erudite and loquacious orator Razor Fist the Rageaholic pointed out on his channel, those due largely to the various unscrupulous business practices that happened. But the continuously increasing lagging sales are demonstrably due to alienated fans being put off by the ramped up SJW politics being crassly and needlessly injected into their content for just by these gender studies rejects fresh out of college indoctrination centers. And these people are typically just bitter, resentful failures, just spiteful, joyless NPC drones who lack any actual creativity or marketable ideas. So these companies they just invaded them and took over and subsequently bastardized and ruined established characters and stories and introduced their own retarded, one-dimensional fucking Mary Sue characters. And now you've got turds like fucking Squirrel Girl stinking up the fucking Marvel Universe. You've got the Black Latino Spider-Man, Mexican Captain America, Muslim Blade. You've got gay, lesbian, trans superheroes galore. Every day there's a new one. And usually it's just some other character they've taken over because they can't think of their own stuff. There's all this focus on identity politics in it, and while the alienated fans are being slandered as just hordes of slobbering man-baby trolls, we would have, historically we have accepted any characters, regardless of gender, race, religion, sexuality, whatever, just so long as the story and art and character development and so on is any good, it's like, just give us a good product. We really don't care. Generally, most comic book fans don't care much about the romantic lives of our heroes. So why even make that sexuality an issue, Unless it's just propaganda after all. But we all know that's all it is. Instead of focusing on writing interesting concepts and stories and drawing exciting designs, these rejects huddle in their insulated echo chambers and ally themselves with Antifa. And they use their social media connections to just plot against and dox and smear their critics and anyone who's viewed as opposition. And even members of their own political party who don't go far enough down the communist rabbit hole. Just the degeneracy, like Tim Pool, they actually label him a right-winger in some of their fucking publications. He's a raging fucking liberal, but, he doesn't follow their dogma, so he gets fucking slandered like the rest of us, I guess, lumped into the big Nazi pie. And I considered myself apolitical, anarchist as a kid. I all this fucking politics shit made me go cross-eyed. Like, it's boring, but it's just since, I guess, 2008, there's been just this militarization of the left where it's just like forced down your fucking throat, and there's a pushback. And the harder they push, the harder they get pushed back, and they can't meme, so fuck them. Like, the radical socialist agenda they're pushing will keep growing and more provocative as they try to continue normalizing bizarre and perverse sicknesses. And it's by design. It's outlined in the socialist playbook, Solinsky's Rules for Radicals. They'll get more brash and insistent and vehement with their demands, which every day become more preposterous to logic and more inherently offensive to decent, civilized society. To the point where you can't even tell the difference between satire and the news. Like fucking Babylon Bee, Onion, it's like the headlines are really not much different. It's just like they're more and more openly hostile to any vestige of national identity and against white people in general. White genocide is their established goal, and it's already in full swing. As the normalization of pedophilia and young children being brainwashed into getting sex change surgeries, but to address their individual idiocies, point that shit out. Like, that's stupid, that's, you set yourself up, you get sunk in this morass of fucking nonsensical buzzwords. They fucking, they just, they snipe at you with spinning these phrases and slap you with inflammatory labels, which we've been trained by the media to fear and avoid at all costs. Like, oh, the shame, the white guilt, I can't be considered one of these crazy right-wing, alt-right fucking lunatics, like conspiracists, right? Like, the thing is, though, that, like, undiluted words, facts, and truth are on the side of the right. You know, the left can't meme. These leftist freaks, they fear the truth. They obfuscate and they twist reality to try and escape from the facts, which condemn their ideology outright. You know, they want to use labels like they're history deniers, they're statistics deniers. They say that 13% of the population, and actually less than half of that, you know, accounting for over 50% of the violent crimes in the country, is just a racist conspiracy. You know, they're pseudoscience worshippers. They idolize hacks like Neil deGrasse Tyson and fucking Bill Nye, who are just global homo shills. They selectively appeal to science while denouncing basic principles of climate, gender, etc. They enthrone this bastardized science in place of religion, along with psychology, which they also, you know, cut and paste to fit their twisted ideology, denouncing and ignoring the bits they don't like. They're psychologically damaged, mentally ill, venerating the sickness rather than acknowledging, you know, or treating it. The sociological equity that they're pushing for is just ruinous and deadly. If these lunatics call us a Nazi for speaking the truth, you know, don't capitulate, don't apologize, don't backpedal, you know, tell them to fuck off. They're fucking whack jobs. Who cares what the fuck they say, you know? There should be more of that and less apologizing and hiding, you know? The left has become increasingly militant over the decades, while people on the right typically are peaceful and reasonable with our views. By and large, we don't advocate for violence. Good ideas don't require force. Practical concepts for a civilized society don't require violent force to be implemented. We're not the ones plotting attacks and riots. That's their tactics. That's Antifa. But it is important to stand your ground and defend yourself and be armed, you know, defend yourself and your beliefs for the advancement of future generations. We take pride in our ancestral histories, the cultures we've created, our blood and soil, the soul of our people. We stand proud against these emasculated, useful idiots and say, fuck you. No apologies. We stand proud. They preach about abolishing hate, but when you really look and listen to them, they're always full of bitter, resentful hatred. It's behind all of their policies, all of their outlooks. The media infects these people, these warped individuals with Trump derangement syndrome, and they have these delusions, and they go out and they attack people. They attack immigration officials. They lay siege on their buildings with bombs and automatic rifles. They conduct mass shootings. Transsexuals go out and shoot up schools, and the liberal talking heads just bury those stories. They engage in weaponized hypocrisy as they condemn the president and those of us on the right as radicalized, and they trot out the scary white nationalist neo-Nazi terror groups canard. You know, that's fucking horse shit. The SPLC, it fucking their own groups shows that the great majority of national supremacist, racial supremacist groups in this country, way more than anyone else, are blacks. But you know, when they cherry pick from there, they always point out the white nationalists. Like the KKK, they held a rally and there's like 9 people showed up when like 100 Antifa showed up. Like, it's preposterous to fucking cite that shit. They even go so far as to claim that YouTube is some kind of hub of radical far-right influence, which couldn't be further from the truth. The truth is, they promote the mainstream media mouthpieces while censoring and outright banning people like us for telling the truth about how the left is nothing but cancerous fucking terrorism. I don't know how long I'll be on YouTube. Probably not long, but I'm backed up on BitChute, at least, so be sure to check that out and subscribe to the channel on there in case I get removed from here, because especially just ever since the 10th, I think they're doing extra fucking work to ensure that you only get one type of information from the platform. Anyway, I know this has been a long-winded rant, and I got like 5 people to stick around through it. Thank you. Now that I've set some of the groundwork for what the channel is going to be about, I will be keeping my forthcoming videos in the 5 to 10 minute range, and also covering other subjects like true extreme metal, things I actually know a lot about, mysticism, religion, and of course raising Skullet awareness. Thank you for watching, and take care. Till next time.